Hello, everybody. 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Welcome to an exciting webinar from Preview 3D. I already see a lot of people coming in to the webinar. My name is Michel Besner. I'm the CEO of Preview 3D, and I've got my colleague here, Philippe. Philippe Bédard is our Director of Product Management. Hey, Phil, how's it going? Oh, you're muted, I think. Is you?
Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, I'm good. What about you?
I'm pretty good. This is pretty exciting. I think that there's a lot of work that got us to this point today, and we're pretty excited to explain to you everything we're doing and why we're doing it, and the importance of this new component called RealityTwin as part of our overall product ecosystem.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to see that. It's our biggest webinar so far as well. Like we see the engagement and the interest from our different customers, prospect. So yeah, it's really exciting to see that.
Absolutely. And so some people coming from London, Scotland, Germany, Maryland, and everything else. So everyone, really, really good to see that coming around. Before we go into like a live demo, we always like to do these live demos. Our product is so visual and interactive. It's really important. We're going to take a few minutes to explain all the reasons behind the, let's call it the madness of everything we've been doing. So if you've been tracking Preview 3D for the past 2 years, we've gone through a major transformation on everything we're doing. And it's always good when we do these webinars to take a few minutes just to explain all the pieces and why we're doing these elements. And as much as in some ways the ecosystem we're building is quite simple, but it's really designed to help manage the complexity of dealing with the as-built world, right? So really where we're going as a company is, you have different use cases where you need 3D scanning data, you need a way of capturing the existing world, the existing conditions. And a lot of what we're building is about that and how to create an environment that will help you manage, but also address, your key use cases into the engineering world, but also into operational world, which is really a key part of what we're doing here today. So here's a really good slide that I'll take some minutes to explain everything and how it connects to each other and how it relates to what we're going to show today. And in the meantime, also, if you have any questions, we like these things to be extremely interactive. And so don't be shy to ask some questions as we're explaining everything. So obviously, we're known for a long time in how we are taking 3D scanning data and we're converting these point clouds that are often heavy and hard to manage into these beautiful 3D meshes. And so we'll see that as part of our demo, of course, today as well. And really what we've done over the past while is really to do a whole revamp of our web platform. And so what's called now RealityPlatform is really meant to be like almost like a Dropbox or a project manager of your digitized sites. So how you can take in 3D scanning data from different sources and bringing in, and so you can manage your sites, manage your user access, manage your projects and everything else. And really, sort of a foundation, like for us, it's almost like our Windows layer on the ecosystem that we've been building over the past while. And from that, what you're seeing at the top is really a lot of the work that we've been building in how to address the challenges of what people into engineering and EPCs and when you're doing turnarounds and upgrades and retrofits and everything else in planning for future state changes to your facility at the same time, and how to address the real world use case of managing a single version of the truth for an operation perspective. And that's really where these pieces come to mind, right? So RealityPlatform, you put in your scan data, you get everything there. And then, well, of course, what we've been seeing in the market is that people are not just going to use a single scan to scan the entire facility. If you have a 100,000 square meter facility, maybe you'll try to scan it all at once. Most likely you'll scan in multiple phases. You'll want to scan with different scanners. And so how do you combine all of that into a single version of the truth? And that's where you'll hear and you'll see about RealityComposer, which is really sort of like a volumetric Photoshop where you can combine multiple scans into a single coherent digital space. And then from that, obviously the output of RealityComposer is actually a reality twin. So really meant to be an environment where you have your up-to-date visual environment of the environment. And of course, if you want to plan, design layouts, well, you want to change the facility, you need to go in some kind of offline mode, and that's where RealityPlan comes in. And so that's what we'll talk in some aspects in here. Here I see a message from Anwar that says that the streaming has some issues. If you have issues, let us know. And if you can see, hopefully you can see our screen. That's really useful because we're going to be doing a very visual environment.
I see that also in the chat. Brandon is quite excited, I think, for the volumetric Photoshop.
Yes, absolutely. And so one thing we've been talking a lot over the past few webinars is it's one thing to have your scan data, right? We make them we have the most beautiful, fastest, most accurate 3D mesh converted from point clouds. But the point cloud itself, or the mesh itself, is just a blob of information. So one thing we've been talking a lot about is what we call reality assets. And reality assets is really this layer of creating a semantical layer of information on top of your scan data to be able to isolate pieces of equipment. And we'll show that into the live demo on how to take, let's say you want to isolate a specific piping, or you want to isolate a specific compressor or pump or other assets you have into the environment. And really where things are going for us is that I have an asset that's been isolated from my scan. Great, I can view it, I can click on it. And what we've been getting from customers next has been, well, can I connect my system of records? Can I get my ACP environment, IBM Maximo or AVEVA PI or other systems connected? Because owner operators have all these systems. They have so many systems, they lose count of how many systems they have. And our view was, well, how do we make it where we create a single visual layer that can connect to any system you want? So you don't have to search for the information wherever it is, but we're bringing it into a visual layer into our system. And that's part of what we'll show you today with the Reality Twin. And so this whole ecosystem is really to make it where you're able to manage your reality, your as-built world, to visualize your current state of your facility with a Reality Twin that's connected to your environment, and then use RealityPlan to do any future changes, designs on your plan. You want to change your layouts of your production line, you want to plan an upgrade, changes of equipment, you want to decommission some specific equipment, and so on, and really use RealityPlan for that design engineering element, while your operational teams are using Reality Twin to stay connected and access their information. And so you'll see some of those things today. And the other thing that we've done into this ecosystem is obviously we're not going to do all the features by ourselves. There's obviously other tools out there. There's some CAD software like Revit and SolidWorks and Siemens NX and NVIDIA Omniverse. And there's other solutions out there that will continue to exist. We're not going to do everything. We're not going to try to boil the ocean. Really, our focus is to be the foundation for the as-built world that still needs to connect to your CAD systems, connect to your simulation systems, and so on. And so we've built what we call RealityConnect, which is really an enablement layer that will allows third-party software, and we've done our own initial implementation of plugins in different CAD systems, for example, to help in how to bring the reality, the as-built world, into your design tools, into your CAD software, into your BIM, into your other systems. And that's a key part as well of our strategy and how to be an open system. And pretty soon, we will announce availability of the RealityConnect API, which will allow third-party developers and other software companies to basically take this API and connect to our platform and access the as-built. And as part of that, our focus is how do we make this seamless, easy, fast to access your as-built world. And pretty excited that next week we'll be at Autodesk University. And we have a bit of a sneak peek of our next generation of our plugins for Revit and other systems. And we have a quick video we'll show in how now it's easy to basically connect to our platform, whatever the sites you have. and basically enable, I want to see this scan data inside of Revit. And what you're seeing is here is unedited. This is real time, real capture. And in a few seconds now, I just streamed the entire scan of this area of a facility. And this is real time. There's no editing. There's no cheats. And now I can, use all the tools inside of Revit, for example, to, clip that scan. And now you're seeing in an environment where the as-built with the CAD and the BIM data all connected together inside of Revit in real time. And of course, sometimes you want to bring some specific 3D assets to your environment because you want to do some as-built modeling. So we're covering that as well. So with the ability of our isolation of assets, we're able to bring assets specifically inside of Revit families to bring, let's say, a specific compressor pump that you want to do a as-built modeling of it because you don't have a CAD version of it. These will all be use cases possible in this. And so again, this is part of what we're building in this ecosystem that enables us to be a key element of your as-built world in a way that otherwise would have been very difficult, but now it's becoming very easy in everything we're deploying as part of our as-built ecosystem coming from Pruvy 3D. So pretty exciting stuff. We're really happy about all these pieces coming together. The feedback from customers is really very strong. I hear some messages here that streaming keeps interrupting. So I don't know if we can check on the technical side if there's any issues there. Hopefully we can address that now. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to put it into the chat. So RealityTwin, right? So you've got some scan data, and one of the key aspects of this is that we see that our customers have multiple scanning data. So how do you manage multiple scans? You've got some drone data, you've got some photogrammetry data you've processed in third-party software, you've got some LiDAR, TLS, you've got some SLAM. And so how do you manage all of that? So let's talk first about RealityComposer, right? So like we've said before, think of it as a volumetric Photoshop. And I see here a question from David as we're setting this up, on what kind of computer we're using. Well, it's running on pretty much every computer that has a decent graphic card, right? It doesn't need to be a high performance graphics card. Of course, if you have a better graphics card, it will make a difference. But like even myself, I run on a MacBook Pro, and I'm using all of our tools, even into emulation mode of a PC, and it's working quite fine. So it's definitely designed to be high performant visual environment that, if you have hardware, great, but you don't need to spend crazy amount of dollars to buy a crazy laptop or computer to use our solution. So let's get into RealityComposer. Right.
Yeah, so there we go. So what I'm currently showcasing over here on my screen is the RealityPlatform. As Michel mentioned, in our ecosystem, that's where you will manage your sites, your data, uploading your scans. So over here we have like a St. Jack site that was created, and we have a twin that is already populated with some data as a showcase. So we will open up that twin and walk you through the workflow to bring those layers together. So in that example over here, for this specific project, we do have like drone scans combined with TLS scan and a SLAM scans from Navis. So it's really exciting to see all those pieces coming up together.
Yeah, and the question from Marcello on the chat room was that, yes, we do support SLAM devices like Navis and XGrid and other systems, right? So we definitely support that. And so RealityComposer, what you're seeing here, like exactly like if you've used Photoshop, where you can have multiple layers of data. So here we've got some drone LiDAR, we've got some SLAM, we've got some TLS, you can have some photogrammetry, meshes as well. And basically we're able to layer things on top of each other. So there's a precedence on each layer where, the top layer has more precedence on the previous one. And then what's really cool, what we've built is the ability to include or exclude specific parts of a scan. So we have what we call inclusion and exclusion boxes and areas you can design and say, okay, I only want to take one part of that scan. I only need that portion of that scan. The rest I don't need. And so you can really say, okay, I'm going to include this part. And of course, sometimes you want to exclude some key components. So maybe sometimes you have, let's say in this case, we have some cars in the back that have been scanned as part of the scanning process. And you basically just want to remove some of those scans. We have some cleaning tools that you can actually remove part of a scan and other things like that. So really making this easy to update and combine multiple scans together.
Yeah, and as you can see, like over here, what we're doing is I selected the terrestrial laser scanner layer. That is the latest that we imported. That is sitting on the top. And on the bottom right, you have like kind of a mini preview of what it would look like in the composition. So if I edit that box, you can see that the orange region is start growing like this, because I decided that from the TLS scan, this is the area that I would like to preserve, and it will prioritize on top of the underlying layers, basically. So it really allows you to combine those scans over times, and even if there's like overlapping area, the system will handle all that with the includes and exclude boxes. So over here, this is the include box, but like Michel mentioned, if I switch to, let's say, this is the SLAM scan, and as you can see, there's that middle part that is overlapping with the TLS scans, but we decided that we only preserve that corner, so this is the green area. And with the exclude box, basically what we can do is if we have like some noise, like the cars over here, I can come up in the exclude mode and start like creating like shapes and things like that, and quickly exit some area of the scans if I need to. And once done, those would be removed from the actual scan. So it's more for, I would say, power user over here to set up their twin and keep it up to date. But yeah, you can quickly clean up your scans, remove the noise around your different scans, and make this the source of truths for your operation teams and design teams.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so as you can see, again, the focus for us is always making the interface extremely easy to use and operate, right? And so that's a really key point, is that you want to focus on where you're creating value, you're creating solutions that you're either as an operator or you're an APC, that you're able to focus on what really matters. And so spending hours just trying to make two layers of scan work together is not valuable time. And so we're making these tools extremely easy. So if you're using, for example, georeferencing, when you're doing your scanning, all the mapping will be done automatically. So you don't have to do anything. So in this case, the TLS and the SLAM layers were all georeferenced. They basically came one on top of each other, nothing to do. In the case of the drone layer, it didn't come with georeferencing. So we have some basic alignment tools that you can just click on that specific layer and then change the offset, position, rotation of that specific layer. So a lot of things you can do there, that again, making it very easy to manipulate and operate your different scanning sessions into a single environment. I know there's some questions here that we'll answer. Like right now, we are only managing a single state environment. There's no notion of time just yet. Stay tuned in the future. We're certainly looking at time-based elements, but that's not something that is in the product just yet. And also, there was a question about the time it takes to scan. Obviously, depending with a scan device, it can take more time or not, depending on the scanning device. Like typically, a terrestrial scanner can do like about 5,000 square meters a day at best, and then a SLAM could do maybe like 10,000 to 20,000 square meters a day. And so there's definitely things like that changes the time to take. And obviously, sometimes customers have specific constraints, like they need to scan at night or weekends and other things like that. Certainly, we can work and connect you with some of our 3D scanning partners that can help you assess if you want to have a scanning session and understand how long it takes to build these things. But the focus for us is always to make it as simple as possible.
I see that Brendan is excited as well by the
alignment
manual
tools,
alignment. So I think, for us, it's important. Like, we can't only rely on control points. Like, obviously, that's the best case scenario if you have like control points and all your scans tie up together and has been registered in a registration software. But we do offer the possibility to manually align those, and we are coming up with some also other tools as point matchings and things like that to help the process of manually aligning those scans to each other.
Yeah, we're definitely adding a lot of features like pretty much every month. We have a great team of developers that are really cranking up a lot of capabilities, and we like to work with our customers. We're very customer facing, so we like to understand where customers are and where they have issues and how we can improve the product. And one of my favorite quotes recently was one of our customers telling us that we're moving faster than a Learjet. So it's like I don't think you can go faster than that from a software development perspective. Okay, so that's really a lot about Reality Composer. One thing to mention here, we are mostly dealing in the spectrum of a mesh environment. So we do support point clouds, and you can visualize point clouds. But in order to get the kind of performance we're doing, we do convert the point clouds into a full mesh environment. That's part of our data processing capabilities. Key point there is that it makes it a lot easier to manage the sheer amount of data that comes from a point cloud without losing any quality and resolution from the point cloud to mesh conversion process. But it makes it a lot more visual than if you were doing the same thing using a point cloud environment. It would be very hard to do that same kind of visual environment, and that's definitely something that makes us unique in how we're dealing with this, where we're able to take in the point cloud, but also convert the point cloud. Other solutions in that same ecosystem that compete with us will need you to process your point cloud somewhere else in order to open a mesh into their software. In our case, you just taking the point cloud, load it up into our platform, and we automatically convert that into a full mesh model.
I see that David in chat has a questions regarding like the key differences between RealityPlan and RealityTwin. I think that's a good way to introduce over here the twin. So basically, the twin is really about defining those assets and bringing that visual layer on top of your existing assets, and it's fully web, fully collaborative compared to RealityPlans, where, like Michel mentioned, RealityPlan is a bit more not offline, but like it's a bit more disconnected to your source of truth. The twin is really a live source of truth that you have collaborative online that everyone can access at any time, where RealityPlan will be mostly used for design planning, like pre-design analysis and things like that, layout planning and things, so things like that. Yeah. So over here we are able to connect data. So I will show you like a quick example over here of some assets that were defined. So let's say we take this one over here. Those assets can be quickly defined inside the scene with our different tools. We do have a box tool to create those assets, but we also have like a magic wand, a piping tool. And what you will see over here is that we can assign several metadata to those equipment, and you can also connect them to external systems of record. So in that example, this asset is connected to AVEVA PI. So by just filling up the PI asset path over here, all those metadata was retrieved and fetched automatically from the PI system. So that become very powerful. Like Michel mentioned, we can't build everything ourselves. We are not like per se like an asset management systems to record all those assets, and most likely our customers all have existing asset management solutions or like ERP and things like that, like AVEVA PI, SAP, and other system of record like this. Our goal is really to bring that visual layer on top of it and connect those different systems together. So basically, you can, like currently I only have a connection with AVEVA PI, but we can also include a connection to SAP on the same asset.
So key thing here is that any company has data in a bunch of places, right? And so our goal is not to have customers move their data. I mean, there's already places where you're doing that. There's already companies with initiatives to centralize their data in different systems like SAP and other places. Really what we're trying to solve is really the challenge of visually understanding your space and connecting any data you might have into that visual layer. And that's really where what we've done is key, is to allow you to take 3D scanning data. So yes, you can also use CAD data as well. We don't have it in a specific demo, but we can show that in future web presentations. And basically isolate these assets in a way that you can then connect any form of information that it comes from SAP, IBM Maximo, and other systems. And so you can configure all these integration points, and you can say, like, for a given asset, I want my health and safety planning procedures coming from whatever systems to be available to this visual layer. And so we were looking really to do the mapping of this visual layer to whatever data you have in different systems. And it's a very open and flexible system, so you can decide, and we do have solutions partners that can help you on the implementation and integration part of it to really, implement what's needed for your specific use cases. And that's really key, because we don't want you to have, constraints on how we're blocking you for doing what you need from your own perspective. We're not going to show today, sadly, the integration with Maximo, but pretty much like what you're seeing here with this AVEVA PI integration, you can define integration points with your Maximo instance. And then once you've configured the integration points, you can configure your asset templates. And let's say, for example, you said that let's say a specific compressor has specific field metadata that comes from Maximo, will be the same way that you're defining in what you're seeing currently in this live example. And we certainly can do offline meetings with anyone that's interested. If you want to reach out to us and book a demo from our website, and we'll certainly more than happy to show you more details of how things are specifically done per se. Right.
Yeah, especially deep diving in your current architectures, understanding which part you're trying to connect, because typically all those systems like AVEVA PI and SAP or Maximo, they are just not a single project. They have a wide range of projects and a different infrastructure that are in place. So we can certainly connect together and sit down and evaluate the best way to connect the two systems together.
Yeah, absolutely. So one question here from Sahar is that, and we've talked a bit about that, but yeah, we'll answer clearly, is that with our RealityPlatform and RealityTwin solutions, we are looking to enable what we call a RealityConnect API SDK that pretty soon will become available for third-party developers to implement connectivity to our system. So if you want to connect your own custom software that you've built, or you have another specific software that you have that you'd like to fetch, full scans or meshes or other information that are, available through our platform, this RealityConnect API SDK will allow you to do this type of integration. So certainly reach out to us, Sahar, offline, and we'll be more than happy to work with you as we make this available pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly. The API will really help you to interact with our Reality platform, the RealityTwin component, and we also have an SDK that really allow you to leverage our tiling systems in other places.
Yeah.
And that's what we're leveraging for our own Revit connectors. As you can see, the streaming capabilities that was done inside the Revit connector, that's exactly what the technology that we're using.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing that obviously we were really proud of our the 3D mesh that we generate from the point cloud, and certainly we have the best one, and even some of our competitors have told us that. So really happy about that. But for some people, looking at a mesh model is not always the most visually compelling mode. And so Phil just showed it live now, where you can still leverage the photos, the panels. So everybody's used to Google Street View, right? So everybody's navigated with images. But what you're seeing here is really unique to us, where I'm in a photo mode, but I'm able to select the 3D assets that were isolated in this environment. So for the end user, it's sort of the best of both worlds. You're getting a nice, beautiful image picture from the panels from your scanner, but you're able to still click on the assets and fetch any information that's connected to those assets. And so really creating these new hybrid visual modes is really part of our focus as a business, is to make it really easy for someone to experience a visual twin with our solution and have different modes based on what you're looking for. If you're doing more engineering related work and you'll use RealityPlan, you'll be in a mesh model because you need to have more precise measurements. If you're doing a virtual tour with someone, then using the photo mode is certainly a way of having a beautiful image. And if you're a plant manager and you want to just visually navigate around the space and click on a specific asset to fetch specific information, then you have this photo mode with the selectability of the assets. I see here a question from Vishnu about our plans to integrate with the AVEVA ecosystem. So already we are integrated with AVEVA PI and AVEVA Connect. We are looking at other integrations down the road. So certainly we'd love to know more about what kind of integrations you're looking for. Certainly, we add frequent integration points. And like I said, this RealityConnect API SDK that we're going to release soon is going to enable other third-party companies, software companies, and third-party developers to add their own integration points to our solutions to even expand more our different capabilities.
I know we're running a little bit out of times, but quickly we have the also the possibility to add a point of interest. So if you have some cases where you don't necessarily have an asset to define, or you want to describe like just, let's say, like hazard or things like that, it's also a possibility. So you can like define and add the metadata that you want associated to those point of interest. So you can define the color, the icons, and like earlier we mentioned like interactions through the API. That's something that would be also possible to populate the scenes and fetching point of interest through the APIs and things like that. Those are so possibilities.
Yeah.
And not only metadata can be attached, but also like files. So, oops, sorry.
Yeah. Actually, one thing that we didn't show, which is it's obvious, but we forget to present it sometimes. Like we have all these measurement tools, right? So if you want to give this access to someone, actually, by the way, really important point is that with RealityPlatform and RealityTwin, just to view a specific site, there's no cost on a per user basis. You only pay for users that are editing, authoring, managing the sites, and managing the engineering projects. For employees that just need to access a site virtually, just get it there and do a virtual visits or do some measurements on some equipment, there's no cost on a per user basis. As long as you have the right subscription plan for your hosting and streaming model, you don't have any per user fee. So you could have like thousands and tens of thousands of users and employees accessing the platform to do some basic measurements, for example, stuff like that. I see a question here from Keith about QPix support. And yes, we do support QPix. Basically, you feed your 360 cameras inside of QPix. And QPix has an E57 export mode. We've been working very closely with QPix over the past short while to make this really seamless integration point between QPix data into our system. And so you can export the E57 file from QPix, and we'll process those into these 3D meshes that you're seeing into this environment here, for example.
One other interesting part is we can also attach not only like property fields like this, but also attachments. So you can like include the PDF files or other type of like videos and things like that. And by clicking them, you can access them directly within the Twin like this, and it's loading the PDF, so you can like access the data. So it's a good way as well to centralize some information tied up to the assets.
One feature that I know that is being worked on, so it's not all published just yet, is we're going to have a lot of advanced search capabilities. And that's really key, because once you've got these assets isolated, you've got them linked to system of records and connecting like documents and so on, you want to be able to search for assets. For example, you're looking for all the equipment that had some maintenance done on them last week, for example, or you're looking for what are the equipments that needs to be inspected next week that requires scaffolding. So based on what kind of metadata you're storing onto your solution, then you can create all these different use cases. I know that there was a question from Susan about that, like what are the top 3 use cases and how it can be used. And really, of course, virtual site visits, it's an obvious one. Access to documentation on different assets is another one of those. Certainly, having the ability to connect data and be able to find information. So you're looking for, I'd like to understand what are the equipments that have had some power failures or performance issues or that are required for predictive maintenance. And so if you're connecting your predictive maintenance system, we can help you visualize and understand your space using our tools. So there's a lot of things like that that you can have. And there's a whole list of use cases. And so I'm not going to go through that list, but Susan, if you want to talk offline, we're happy to set up a meeting. We can talk about some specific use cases that we see with our current customers, and they also listen to your specific needs as well into this. Thanks, Brandon. Comment from Brandon about that. Training purposes is a good example, again, of one use cases that we're seeing as well in here. Another question from Vishnu. So yes, we do support a lot of 3D file formats. So yes, you can import plant models from E3D into our solutions. We support a whole array of CAD formats and 3D file formats into our solutions. So certainly we can import E3D files as well as other solutions that we support. We can export, for example, an FBX file from A3D that you can bring into our solution. So there's different ways of connecting data into our system. And again, it's really meant to be an open environment, very flexible, and really enabling a lot more use cases. And so how to use reality capture data across the board from your engineering purposes to different use cases in operations.
Yeah, because we also often see like the engineering teams might go out and scan the full facility, but the operation teams is not even aware of it. And I think like having tools like this will really help to bridge that gap, because often the data is already here and just sitting on a hard drive somewhere on a computer, and that data can be super beneficial for the operation side of things.
Absolutely. Michael had a question about the size limit for attachments. I think for like typical attachments like a PDF, and we haven't seen any particular limitation so far. I think obviously if the file were to be too big, then you always have the option of downloading a specific file within your own user permissions. We have a full user access management system, so based on both your single sign-on configurations and SCIM configuration systems, but also you can define groups and other user permissions on how you're able to access a specific set of information based on your role and so on.
I did test myself with a 10 gigabyte attachment file.
Yeah.
So it was quite a large file that I exactly to test the limits, and it was working pretty fine as well on that side. So
yeah. Question from Mike about obviously we shown like oil and gas and MEP examples. We are also dealing with various large building examples, fabric assets. Like we do have consumer packaged goods companies, customers that are using it for other different types of manufacturing process. And so yes, we're not limited in either size or scale or types of equipment that can be managed with our system. We have also customers in the food industry and other manufacturing environments. So we're definitely fairly open in the type of use cases or environments that can be used with our system. There's other questions. I don't think we can answer all the questions that we're seeing on the email. I think that one here that is good to talk about. So yes, we are looking to integrate, not only the scan data, but also your CAD data, so your plant models as well, and connecting this to your EIP, MES, and so on into this reality twin. And so we're not trying to be an asset management system per se, but we are certainly looking to be that layer that makes it visually possible to understand your space. And the reality capture layer is unique in a way that it creates a very rich environment. If you go and look at a CAD model of a facility, most people won't understand it. If you look at the mesh scan version of that same facility, everybody understands what they're looking at. And so combining the CAD and the scan data into your connected systems like your MES, ERP systems, and so on, is really creating this layer of visual insight and visual context on the information.
Yeah, and it's bringing that 3D relationship between those assets as well. Like you have the location in space, which is hard to see from other systems if it's only 2D. You can let's say you look for the list of all the pumps that need maintenance between these dates and these dates. There's other systems that can do it in a 2D versions. You can do such requests, but you don't see them specially bounce. So you don't know, is it close one to another? Do I need a scaffolding to go up there and do an inspection? Where is it in the 3D space? So that's really the layer that we bring on top of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that Julie just posted a poll, which is a great for us to learn more about you on your side. And so the question is really about where are you in your digital twin, visual twin stage of maturity. And so obviously there's a lot of people that are still getting started, and that's great. And some of them are already doing pilot project, and some of them have small projects deployed and so on. And really for us, the way we've designed the product and the pricing around the product is that it's easy for you to build a small pilot project. You can, select a specific area of your facility, and our pricing starts in the $3,000 US range, right? And so it's very easy to buy like a one seat of RealityPlan, RealityTwin, and a few blocks of storage for RealityPlatform, and just go from there. You don't have to spend $250,000 to start experimenting and building a visual twin. And that's really key and important, because there's other solutions out there that the starting price is extremely high. They're only trying to win these big contracts. And we know that there's a journey here on how to learn about this. And the best examples we've seen with our customers, if you start with small space, like say 10,000 square feet or 1,000 square meter space, not too big, but it's easier once you have a living example of a plant or as part of your plant, and you can then, through your digital transformation team or your innovation team and other departments, start educating and getting to that evolution of a process. And we're really always happy to do this. We like to start small when it makes sense and grow from there. And that's really another important factor for us in these type of environments. And we're seeing from the pilot, the poll results right now, like a lot of you are still new into this, getting started, and are doing some pilot, early small stage pilots. And feel free to work with us, and we'll be more than happy to help you build these pilots and grow from there, right? It's really about being a trusted advisor and a partner to your journey into this process of building a digital twin, a visual twin, as part of your digital transformation. There's a lot of use cases that can be used for this. For us, and the key part, and that makes us unique as well, is that we are both a solution can be used within your engineering CapEx projects, your turnaround or our future upgrade projects, and now going into operations. And that was really key for us, because if you have an operational visual twin and you can only change the twin when it's been deployed and commissioned and everything's been done, you're late to the party. You're late where you only can change your twin when there's new things. We wanted to have a solution that starts early into the engineering process. And that's why we've built these connection points between the RealityPlatform and RealityPlan and RealityTwin, is to really create a longer process where you can use our tools within your engineering work to your operations to really get where you need to be with our solutions. And that's really key as part of this transformation of a company, because it doesn't happen overnight, and you want success. And success comes with a proper stage approach to evolve from getting to know about things to building a pilot, first deployment, larger scale deployments, and so on. And that's what we've been doing with a lot of our customers. And we've seen a lot of great success out of that. So out of this, I think that we're getting to the end of our webinar. Really appreciate all the questions. And I want to thank everyone on your participation. This will be available as a rerun recording after this. Certainly go to our website. There's a very obvious book a demo meeting button at the top of our website. Schedule some time. It's easy for us to schedule some time together. We're more than happy to embark together on this journey of creating a visual twin for not only your engineering purposes, but also your operations. I've seen a lot of questions about integration points with different systems. Certainly, there's already a lot of built-in integrations we have. We do have partners as well that we can work together and really help you develop your visual twin that you need for your different use cases. And really, thank you so much. Thanks, Phil. Always a pleasure to be doing these webinars together. Hopefully, you're all excited as much as we are on everything that we've talked about. And there's more cool stuff being announced and presented and showcased in the near future. Stay tuned, sign up to our newsletter, and looking forward to see some of you next week at Autodesk University. And also in October, we'll be at InterGeo, big geospatial conference in Frankfurt, Germany. And we have more cool stuff to announce before that show as well. Great. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.